subbies, welcome back to my channel, guys. So on today's video we are going to talk about this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. So this book is not a recent book and a lot of you have read it, and if you haven't read it, please go and read it. It's about financial literacy. It teaches you about financial freedom. So we're just going to talk about 5 points. I know there are a lot of points that you can take away from the book, but we're just going to shorten it to 5 points. All right, so Robert talks about 2 dads, which is the rich dad and the poor dad. The poor dad is the one that has qualifications. It's his biological dad, but he doesn't know how to handle his finances, and he works for someone. He works for the government. And the second dad, which is the rich dad, he's the one that has businesses. He knows how to manage his finances. He's the one that taught Robert financial literacy. All right. By the way, this rich dad doesn't have qualifications. So let's get on with the point. The very first point that I took away from the book, Robert says, put your money to work. If your goal in the future is to get rich, do not put your money into a savings account, because now I know it's safe, but you're not going to gain, because by the time you take out that money in the next 5 to 10 years, it will be valued less than it is today. So put your money into investments, spread it out, diversify. Put it into stocks, put it into commodities, put it into your business, just any asset that is going to generate you money, generate you income. It's good, because that's what his rich dad did. His rich dad made sure that his money works for him, but the poor dad, he works for money other than the rich dad. So make sure that you put your money to work. Let your money work for you, but do not work for money. All right. The second point, Robert says, gain financial literacy so that you can acquire assets. So that's what his rich dad taught him, that he shouldn't complain when he's working for someone. That if you are going to complain that the salary that you're getting from working for someone, start up your own business, put it into investments, whatever that's just going to generate you income, and stop complaining. All right, which brings me to the third point. He says, if you are working for someone, make sure that you do not work for someone for the rest of your life, because that would be modern slavery. All right, okay, so let's get real and get into South African reality. We know that it's really hard in South Africa to get funding for a small business, right? I get it. But wherever that you're working at this point, make sure that the salary that you get, you put it into your business, you put it into your investments, so that you don't work for someone for the rest of your life. That's what he's saying. He says it's okay for you to work, but do not work for someone for the rest of your life. The fourth point, he talks about paying yourself first. That's what Robert is saying. He's saying that his rich dad, whenever he got the income from all his businesses, he would acquire assets instead of liabilities. But his poor dad, the one that is the qualified one, he's the one that would pay off his expenses before he can acquire assets. He'd be in so much debt because his expenses would exceed his salary. That's the reason why the poor dad kept on complaining that if he gets more salary, which is if he gets a promotion from work, he'll be able to cover all his expenses. But we all know that more money, more problems. So if you have more money, you're going to create more expenses. That's what we do as the middle class. We pay off all our expenses, and by the time we are done paying off all our expenses, we are left with nothing, right? He's saying acquire assets before you can take care of your expenses. That's what he's saying. The fifth point, he says, dream big. Do not think small because you're from a small location or small town that you think you are not worth owning all these big corporations. No, dream big. Think of that bigger picture. It will happen for you. Do not think of these pessimistic people that keep on telling you, you're just a small person from a small town. There's no way that you're going to make it in the real cities, the big cities. No. Dream big, that will happen. And the last point that I'm going to leave you with, which is a bonus point that I took away from the book, is do not be afraid to take a risk, okay? Acquiring assets is taking a risk. So take that risk. Life is a risk on its own, so why not? Do not stay in your comfort zone, because you are never going to grow. But know your risk tolerance, right? So that's all that I wanted to talk about with you guys. I hope that you learned something from this video. That's what I'm always aiming for, and I hope to see you on my next video.